One.
Welcome to VanderShark NFL Wildcard Weekend, brought to you by Barley Forge. I'm your host, Stephen Vanderver, here with the Shark, and we're ready to do Chargers versus Ravens. Yeah. Good stuff.
Listen, being here in Southern California, this favorite for Jan and I is going to be the Chargers today. We'd really love to see our team pull it off. Los Angeles is going ape, having them being in the playoffs today. And we got a great show for you today, breaking it down player by player, side by side. Van, let's get right into it and start from the top.
And before we start, will you start by, on YouTube, reaching down, hitting that subscribe button, that little bell. If you're on Twitter, please follow us on Facebook, like, etc., and on Instagram, whatever you do there. I'm catching up. What can I say? All right, hey, you know, this game really is about the leaders. The two complete teams.
Right.
All right, but ultimately, you got to talk about PHILLIP Rivers and Jackson. On the Ravens side, Jackson, there's only one stat about him that I think means anything. He's only had one loss since they started it.
That's true.
That means a lot of wins.
Right.
To me, that's the biggest stat. What do you think?
Well, a lot of success. That's regular season football, Van. This is playoff football. This is a young guy, doesn't have the experience on this huge stage, going against a team that's got a ton of experience, a lot of veterans, and the ability to really do some damage both on the defensive and the offensive side of the ball. PHILLIP Rivers is here to win. Do not watch the energy coming out of Phil on his side, on his sideline when his defense is out there, and on the field today, you're going to see a field general in PHILLIP Rivers.
Oh yeah, I mean, but you always see that in PHILLIP Rivers.
That's true.
Right? But Lamar Jackson, you know, you mentioned something that I think is key: his lack of experience, and I think that is his benefit, not his detriment today. He doesn't know enough to be afraid. He doesn't know enough to be nervous. He really doesn't know. They just give him the ball. He runs the read option extremely well, but hey, traps and everything like that. It's a complete running game they're doing over there. This kid is fearless right now. It's like a first-year Dan Marino. He doesn't realize he's never getting back to the Super Bowl. And to him, this is all fun.
Right.
And so he has no fear. But now when you walk into a stadium that's going to be as live as this one in this playoff atmosphere, it has a way of waking you up and maybe instilling a little nervous jitters in him. But I don't know. This kid's for real.
Yeah, he definitely has ice in his veins. We've seen that over the weeks that he's been winning for Baltimore, and what a smart move the coaching staff and the back office made when they decided to go with him, even when Flacco was healthy. I love the fact that he has a Super Bowl champion quarterback on his sideline, giving him advice every time he comes off the field, helping him work through this, so that very well may be a factor for Lamar today. I can't wait to see what he's going to do. This is going to be such a good game. Moving over to the other side of the ball, though, Van, got to talk about Phil for a second. Mr. Rivers, you're going to go big today, and I know it. We're both counting on you, and leading this team. You know, just break down the offense for us for just a second here with Keenan Allen, with Mike Williams, with Terrell Williams, with Melvin Gordon. I mean, we got some really good things going on the other side of the ball.
What he said.
No,
it's that good.
But look at the Baltimore defense. I mean, we're going up against some just massively talented players.
No, really veterans. Okay, we're talking Terrell Suggs,
leader,
C.J. Mosley,
leader.
Eric Weddle. Does he sound familiar, Chargers fans? Okay.
Doesn't
Sedarius Smith.
Doesn't he have a Super Bowl or two?
There's a lot of playoff Super Bowl experience, and like you said, a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Right.
All right. MVP, as I recall.
I think he was. Yeah.
Several $1 million in the bank.
I think he's got a little more than that.
And they also have a guy, Sedarius Smith. I believe he was drafted in 14 or 15 in the 4th round.
Right.
He's a backup for him. 8.5 sacks.
8.5 sacks, and he's backing them up.
Yeah. I mean, it's a strong rotation. Rivers is going to have to be on his P's and Q's all day.
I agree.
But he does have the offensive line, and he has it because he has weapons in the running game and the passing game.
Right.
There's one guy I'm really excited about, because you and I had a conversation a few weeks ago about Mike Williams and how he has really come on. Because when he was first drafted, he was drafted high, and people were saying, oh, he's a bust, he's this, he's that. He had an injury. He's not a bust now, is he?
No, he's not. Mike is all of a #1 wide receiver in the league, and the cool thing about what the Chargers bring to the table is you've got another #1 wide receiver. You have two of them because of Mr. Keenan Allen on the other side of the ball as well. So, I mean, look at this guy. He played the entire season, seasoned veteran, catches the ball whenever it's thrown near him. I love the way that these two guys are going to play off of each other today, because you can't double team both of them, Van.
No, and I also, what's really important to me is how smart I can't believe I'm saying this. How smart the Chargers coaching staff is.
Uh-oh.
Oh, gosh, yeah, mark that on the calendar, okay? And actually, if you can think of a time that the Chargers coaching staff has been renowned or described as being smart or intelligent, please just comment below. We'd like to hear it.
Sure, we would.
But what they've done with
it
Mike
definitely
Williams,
wasn't while Schottenheimer was there, right?
no, it wasn't. What they've done with Mike Williams, he's not their starting wide receiver. He's the WR3, but he gets plenty of snaps.
Plays like a 1.
They found out what he can do well, and they asked him to do it.
Right. Well, he's
Smart.
a product of Clemson, and we've got them coming up in the national championship game. And he's only second year out, so you know that his heart's in that national championship game with Clemson against Alabama. Matter of fact, we got Alabama on the other side of the ball with Zadarius Smith, don't we?
Oh,
so, you know, there's a little bit of that rivalry going on between Clemson and Alabama on the field today for the Chargers and the Ravens. And I think Mike is going to be a key to Phillip Rivers feeling very comfortable and knowing he has plenty of targets, that he doesn't have to go to Keenan Allen all the time. You know, they had an injury at the tight end position, so there's not really a lot of support there, that comfort blanket of having a tight end to throw to. I think Mike Williams is going to be that blanket. I think he's going to get 11 or 12 targets today, Van. Probably pull down 7 or 8 of those catches, maybe just under 100 yards, hopefully a touchdown or 2 out of Mike. And if he can do that, and Keenan Allen can pull off some fireworks on the other side of the field when Phil decides to go deep, because Keenan's always a deep threat.
And he's going to go deep.
Oh, he is. You know it. So you know that this Ravens secondary, can they match up against these guys and give them enough trouble to where they keep that big play football away from the Chargers today?
Yes, they can match up with them. No, they can't do it for 60 minutes. That's the key.
There's the key.
It's going to be the big plays, the splash plays on both sides of the ball, because we just ripped off a bunch of names on the Ravens defense that are names to be feared.
Sure.
Okay? Hey, it ain't all roses for them as far as information on the Chargers side of the ball. How about some names from the defensive side of the ball for the Chargers?
Well, I mean, the name at the top of the list, as everybody knows, is Joey Bosa at defensive end. I mean, this guy plays like Terrell Suggs when he was young and in the prime of his career.
Yeah.
We were talking about that together in the green room earlier, Van. Joey's just a beast, and he's going to put a ton of pressure on the corners. It's going to be really hard for Jackson to bounce the ball outside when he's got to run. When he does that pull away and tries to run outside the tackles, he's going to have Bosa there hitting him in the head. And on the other side of the ball, well, in the center, you got Mebane coming up the middle.
And Mebane, who is huge for this defense, but what did we find out?
Oh, my God, that's right. He's inactive today.
He's inactive. So now we're talking about Damian Square.
Ooh, that's right.
Who's Damian Square? That's what everybody would like to know, okay? He's actually doing a nice job on them for them in the middle. But I wanted to roll back briefly to Bosa, because another guy that we saw yesterday that I think Bosa, okay, can he fill these shoes? Can he hold the J.J. Watt banner?
Ooh, yes.
As J.J. Watt gets older, can this slide his way? Can he play with that passion and that thing? I don't know, but one thing I do know, I hope he learned from yesterday. I hope he was watching, because as we now know, you don't get paid for knocking down passes.
Keep your hands down today, Bosa.
That's
Otherwise,
right,
Booger
that's right.
McFarland's coming to get you.
That's right. It's just happening. It just happened. All right.
I hope he swats a couple of passes for interceptions today, so
Why
that we
not?
can just keep talking about that in the post game. And make sure you guys join us as well after the game. We're going to break down the game, talk about everything we discussed here in pregame and the post game side of things. Let's run over really quick to the offensive side of the ball. Van, you've got a couple guys that you wanted to talk about along with Jackson for the Ravens today.
And actually, that's the key. It's Jackson. Hey, wait a minute. Actually, it's not just Action Jackson.
No.
Okay, and had to slide that in. Okay?
You did.
Especially after you saw him with the outfit.
I know,
okay,
it was so good.
Anyhow, you got Gus Edwards at running back.
Quietly having a very good season.
And it's almost a two-headed thing, because he only has a couple of hundred yards more than the next guy. But then you have veteran leadership, Crabtree.
Yep.
Yeah, that Crabtree.
Yep.
And you also have John Brown. He's the deep threat. He is silky smooth. These guys are the real deal. And the last time these guys played, I'd like to point out, the Chargers doing a thing called a scrape exchange defense actually held Jackson to 3 yards per carry, all except on one carry. We'll talk about that. But anyhow, they know how to stop that read option. What they had problems with was stopping the rest of the Ravens running game, and they got run over.
Sure.
Can they stop the running game of the Ravens today versus Jackson? They've proven they can stop Jackson.
We talked about it just a minute ago, Van. You said how impressed you were with the coaching of the Chargers so far this season. I think those coaches are coming into this game prepared. I think they have a scheme on defense as well as on offense that's going to be ready for anything that the Baltimore Ravens can throw at them. What the Baltimore Ravens do not have is depth at their positions. And so if we see some of these big-name guys tweak an ankle, get hurt, go down, taken off the field, who's coming in behind them? I think the Chargers have more depth, and I think we're looking at something that is going to be very successful with this scrape that you were talking about.
Yeah, let's take a close look at it.
Sure, let's take a look at it. Van, why don't you break that down for us really quick?
Basically, it's really simple, okay? In the read action, what the QB is going to do is he's going to put the ball in the running back's gut, and depending upon what the edge rusher does, if the edge rusher crashes in, he's going to take it out and run around, therefore making the linebacker a step slow getting to him. If he goes to the outside on the edge, he leaves the ball in the running back breadbasket, as it were. He goes up the middle, makes good yardage. What the scrape exchange is instead of the edge guy saying, wow, which way am I going to go? He goes inside every time. The linebacker goes to the outside every time. They swap, exchange responsibilities.
Sure.
And they're no longer late.
Well, so it's no longer a read play where you're behind the play waiting to see which direction your end goes. It is now you know exactly where that end's going and which gap he's filling, and you're hitting the corner, and or you're filling the gap and the end's going around the outside. So it takes that second away from that decision, and that can be all the difference in the world in trying to contain a guy like Lamar Jackson,
who is fast and not fragile.
Although, how many times have we seen Lamar Jackson go dead up the middle on a quarterback?
He's not fragile.
On a quarterback.
All right. One last thing we're going to talk about before we get to the players of the game, and I think you did it well. The guy I compare him most to, thanks to you, is Randall Cunningham.
Absolutely.
All right, not Michael Vick. That is not the guy. You get that picture out of your head.
You have to. Everybody keeps talking about that. I hear it all over the sports networks about the comparisons to him. Just because he runs a lot doesn't mean that he's Michael Vick. Those two guys almost couldn't be further apart.
They really couldn't. This guy is not fragile, and I think he has much better vision in the running game. To be
agree.
And that says a lot because Vick wasn't bad. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
All right. Now, the last thing I want to get to is who I think are going to be the playmakers. I think we're going to have a playmaker on offense for the Chargers that I think is going to take the game and put it away in the fourth. And I think it's going to be the security blanket that you were referencing earlier, because there's a guy that's on the roster. Okay?
He did pick up on my sarcasm.
All right. And now Hunter Henry is going to be playing today, the tight end that was on injured reserve.
I think he's questionable.
But yeah, maybe he plays, maybe he doesn't. But we do know who is going to play.
There is going to be somebody there playing, and I'm glad Van picked up on my sarcasm. A guy by the name of
Antonio Gates.
Probably the best tight end's comfort blanket that any quarterback could have for the last 15 years.
And he's got some playoff experience.
Absolutely.
And he has a playoff experience with PHILLIP Rivers.
Yes, he does.
So these guys know each other back and front. In the fourth, they need the play. Look for him.
A lot of winning chemistry.
But on the Ravens side, the guy I'm most worried about making a play that changes a game in the fourth quarter, again, a Charger, Eric Weddle.
Right.
The guy's instincts, his savvy, his play, his toughness, man.
Do you think he's going to be able to shut down those deep threats enough?
He knows Rivers better than anybody on that Ravens team. Has to. Man, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. However, I'm betting on the Chargers.
As am I. It's a Chargers day. Los Angeles is our backyard, and we absolutely want to see the Chargers continue here. Ravens, you got lucky getting in here in the first place. Chargers are a 12-win team. They definitely deserve to romp you off the field today. We are with you all the way, Phil. Come on, let's get some playoff victories. Let's make a push for the division championship here. And
hey, that's it. We'll see you guys after the game. We're going to review it, break it down, show you some highlights. Until then, subscribe on YouTube, hit that little bell, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and we still don't know what to do on Instagram.
Make sure you sign up for notifications, guys, because you're going to be notified the moment we go live again for the post-game show. We're also breaking down the pregame show for the next game, and you're going to love that as well, so we'd like to have you with us all day today. It's Football Sunday. Here we go.
Go Chargers.
Farley Forge.